Okay, the neglected part of a monkey puzzle tree. Okay, for anyone who hasn't used monkey puzzle before, monkey puzzle is a weird wood. It doesn't actually have a true pith. Let's grab a brad for this. Right. Okay. If you see in the middle of a monkey puzzle, there's that. But that is like sponge. It's dead soft. It doesn't actually have a true pith. Now, if you're doing a lamp with it, the whole trick is to get that dead center. Right. See, it's the same on that end. Right, so the whole trick is to get that dead center. Right, so how you do that is, right, now, what you're looking for is that dead center on one end, especially because when you put the lamp on, you want it to be dead center, right? So so that's the hole you're going to use to run the wire. So it's going to go in there and out there, basically. Right? So how you do that is you stick it between centers first. I'll grab my cone center. Right. Now, this one I figured out just through trial and error with doing this. That's what I'm looking for. Right. So as I said, you stick it in between centers first. Right, so pick an end that you want for your top. Right. And then this end, put as close to that mark as you can, to that false pith as you can, and you put the cone center into the other false pith. And then crank it down. As I said, what you're interested in first is getting that hole to be dead center. Now, I'm going to be off here, so I've got to line this up properly. I've also got to watch my speed. Now, first thing I'm going to do is round it off, paying special attention to this end. Right then, round it off roughly. Right, now, I know for a fact that that end is perfectly centered. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a tenon in it for a chuck. Right, I've cleaned up that edge so it's flat. Right? Now, excuse me. What I want to do is I want to cut a tenon in this to fit in a chuck. Not that I needed a chuck to do a lamp, because if you've seen me doing lamps before, you know I do them between centers. But I do want to keep that centered. Now that I have that cut, I can take it off and flip it around. So I'll do that and I'll be back in a sec. Right then, I now know that that end is centered on that false pith. So I'm going to drive the cone centre into this false pith, and now I know that that turning is exactly centred on that false pith. So I need to round it off again, because it's not going to be round anymore, because it's going to be slightly off. Right, as you can see, it's nice and round on that end because it's centred on that pith, but this end has a wee bit of a bump, so we get rid of that wee bit of a bump. There you go. Right. And now the turning is centred on that false pith. Now we can start doing the lamp. Right, as normal, this is going to be the base, this is going to be the head. Right, so I'll mark it out so you know what I'm doing. Right, so for starters, I know that my drill bit is 15 inches long, so that's basically the length of the lamp. Right. So then that end isn't flattened yet, so we'll give it a ½ inch for flattening. Right, and up to 15.5, so there. That is the overall length of my lamp. From there to there. Now, as I said when I'm doing lamp videos before, the only thing here that's going to dictate what it is your imagination. Now, normally doing lamps is very handy because of the kit I use. The ring on the top is exactly the same size as the teeth on my spore drive. Right? So I can just cut down to that. But seeing as how I don't have the spore drive in this time, I'm going to have to do something to make sure that that's accurate to the size. And what I need to do is get the calipers and just basically measure that. Slightly larger, that'll do it. And so I know where I'm going. I'm immediately going to cut that end down to that size. Now, what I'm not worried about is the fact that this is in a chuck, because the chuck isn't there as a chuck. It's basically there as a centre. So it's never actually going to be held, the weight of this is never actually going to be held on the chuck. Right then, that is the size of the top of my lamp. Right. Now I can start shaping the lamp. First thing I want to do, as I always when I'm doing a lamp, is do the neck. Now we're going to be going for a simple enough design here because it's pretty wood. Now, I've spoken about lamp theory before, as in what way you make a lamp. So I'll put an edge on this. How you make them not tip and stuff. Right, I'll, for anybody who's interested and hasn't seen that one, I'll leave a link up there. Right. It's one of the questions I was asked most, was how do you make a lamp not tippy? And the answer is in that video. Quick look at how that's cutting beautifully. Right. What I'm going for roughly is a champagne or wine bottle shape on this, because the wood can show itself off. And I'm starting to get close to there. I'll start bringing shape into this. Beautiful colour in there. Get that in there a little bit. We'll leave a cork top on it. Just a little bit of extra interest up the tip. So look. Right. Sorry, if you see sweat dripping off me, it's extremely warm here today. And I'm in a steel shed, which basically means I'm standing in an oven. So I apologise over that. Yeah, that's looking nice. I want to bring that down to about there. A little bit more speed. Start getting this wine bottle shape into it. How's that look? Yeah, that's looking grand. Right, now we start working on the bottom of it. Right. So, top of wine bottle has a roll to come into the neck. Needs to be leveled out a bit more. This needs a sharpen. See, with Monkey Puzzle, you're cutting through a lot of knots, so your tools will go blunt quickly. Right then. Let's have a little closer in. Clean that up. There's a bump just there. Don't like it. Now we're getting the rough shape. There's the shoulder in. So now we'll go back and do the neck a bit more to get rid of more of the curve into it. And I'm going to leave a match to the fork about halfway up. Do I like that match? That needs to come down a little bit more in here. Now that needs to come down slightly, not much, and not from all the way. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, much better. Right, now we're starting the bottom part of it. Now, as you see, I have a knot there, and I have a knot there, but I'm trying to leave them there. But I do not want that to fly out or anything. So I'm going to put a little bit of CA into those knots, just to hold them in place, to make sure they don't go flying on me. Right, we let that CA go off. So we'll be back in a second when that happens. Right, and the CA should be gone off. A quick rub to make sure there's nothing on the surface. Right, now we'll start on the base. Now that's going to change because when I do the base, I'll be looking at the shape up here, right, and I'll have to blend it in with the base. Right, but the first thing I want to do is get this end into a rough shape. I don't think that CA is going off completely yet. No, it's alright. What I want to do is I want to mirror the top. So I want, see there's 2 steps there, I want 2 steps down here as well. I don't want a square base, so slightly curve that. And right, now we'll start getting these 2 steps in. Now what I'm doing for the steps is I'm using the angle of the gouge as a guide to what the steps are. Put that. It's 2 steps. This wood is really pretty. Now it's just a case of blend the rest in. And this gives me sharpening again. Much better. As I said, it's really warm here. It's around about 30 degrees outside. I think for those in America, that's up at the high 80s. It mightn't seem like much, but over here, that's hot. That's really hot. It's hot enough so where we actually got a weather warning for heat. Get a little bit closer to the work. Make sure of that. This one needs to come down a little. That needs to go in slightly. When you get to this stage, you're fine tuning. Yeah, that's better. Now I need to blend this end in. Make sure the curves are all smooth. Get this a little bit neater. So, yeah, will do. So you get to a stage where you're just fine tuning stuff. Slight bump just there. See it just there? Pull that one out of it. Now it's just this here which is uneven. Right, let me check how those knots are doing. Yeah, they're holding. Right. Now I need to make that curve or curved. slight bump just there. It's only slight, but it's there. Now I'll have a look at it. So a slight bump there and a slight bump there. That bump is just about gone. Right then, now we get the sand on this, so I'll do that and I'll be back in a sec. Right, I'm jumping back just for a sec here before the Yorkshire Grit Bit, which is a really good one actually. It's about the original Headless Horseman, who was Irish. Right, just to show you this. Right, monkey puzzle is an extremely thirsty wood. It will absolutely drink sanding sailor on you. As I said, I'm only just back to show you this. Right, that sanding sailor's gone. You see the amount I put on, and it's now gone. Right, so especially if you're doing bowls and grind bowls and stuff, it will absolutely just swallow your sanding sailor. So just be prepared for that if you're ever using it. Right, so I'll continue on with this and I'll be back for the Yorkshire Grit Bit. Alright then, the Yorkshire Grit Bit. As I said, this week's one is about the original Headless Horseman on Dullahan. Now this one starts a little strange compared to the other ones because it doesn't start with Dullahan. It starts a long time before that, because it starts with the old gods. Right. The Dullahan is basically a corporeal or solid form of the Celtic god Crom Dubh. Right, now Crom Dubh is one of the versions of Crom Cruach, who I'll go into a bit later on, right? And as I said, Dullahan is one of the best known tales in Irish mythology, and it's gone worldwide and it has become extremely popular over time. Now, the Headless Horseman has, if you go into most cultures, you'll see some version of him. And especially in a story written by an American lad, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now the thing about the Dullahan is Celtic, right? Which means he's both Scotland and Ireland. Now the guy who wrote Sleepy Hollow, sorry his name escapes me at the moment, I'll stick it down below. Right, I'll stick it in a caption here, right? Would have been exposed to this story because his mother was Scottish and so was his nanny. So you can practically guarantee that this is where he got the story from, right? Now, The Dullahan is commonly shown or portrayed as either riding a black horse or riding a black carriage pulled by 6 black horses. Now, it's said that these horses ran so quickly and ferociously that fire came out of their nostrils and from their hooves as they struck the ground. Now, there's a few versions of the Dullahan story knocking around, especially on the internet, right? Where I've seen them where the Dullahan was in league with the Banshee, rubbish, or that the Dullahan rode in packs. Yeah, no. There was one Dullahan. As I said, he was the corporeal embodiment of a god. So there can't be only one of them. Right. Now, this carriage, there's a couple of versions of this story, and I can't actually decipher. And the guy who tells me this stuff, he's a Shanachie, and this is how he told me it. Right? There's 2 versions of the story. Right? There's the guy on the horse, and there's the guy on a carriage. Right? Now, according to some of the stories, the carriage is made out of coffins and bones. Right? And that's to show that the intent of the Dullahan is to take lives. Now, he wears a long black cloak that flows behind him, and he rides through the lands, and he is known to hold his severed head high into the sky in search for souls to take. Now, the head itself has a terrible appearance. It's covered in rotten flesh and gives off the strong odour of rotten cheese, and its complexion is supposed to be of gone off bread dough. Right? The mouth is a split with a terrifying grin as he finds great joy in taking lives. Right? His eyes are lit up with an evil fire and are darting back and forth constantly to find his victim. Now, as I said earlier, the Headless Horseman is believed to be the embodiment of this ancient Celtic god, Cromdulf. Now, Cromcruach was a Celtic god of fertility of the land and everything else, right? And Cromdulf, as I said, is one of his iterations, right? Now, there was a really old king. Now, I'm talking 4th and 5th century here, right? So really old, right? Called King Tyrmus. He was the king of Ireland a long time ago, when human sacrifice to the gods was believed to be a very popular ritual. Now, as I said, this king worshipped Cromdulf. And Cromdulf, being the god of fertility, demanded his sacrifices. Right? Excuse me. And he demanded it once a year. And he was very specific in how the sacrifices were to be made. They were to be beheaded. Right? And for that, he would guarantee the land would be fertile. And this was, as I said, in the time of the old gods, when according to the tales, the gods couldn't survive without sacrifices. Now, in the 6th century, Christianity came to Ireland, and these old gods and sacrificial rituals were condemned, especially as Christianity grew in popularity. Right? Now, this is when the Dullahan came into being, or the story of the Dullahan came into being. Right? As I said, the Irish people believed that Cromdulf took a physical form in order to keep getting the sacrifices that he needed to still exist. Right? Now, the thing is, there's no form of protection against the Dullahan, as the legend goes, with the exception of a piece of gold. Now, depending on which version of the story you hear, right, this is why wedding rings are made of gold. To protect from the Dullahan, should I say. Right. Locked doors, fences, nothing will protect you from the Dullahan if he's coming for you. Because doors flew open and fences just fell apart when he approached. Now, the Dullahan was supposed to speak only once during his ride, and that was to scream a name. If the Dullahan spoke your name or screamed your name and you heard it, you immediately dropped dead, and your body will be found the next morning without your head. Right. And Cromdulf had his sacrifice for that year. As I said, this is a really, really, really old legend, and it's where the Headless Horseman legends came from. So, as I said, it's an interesting one, and surprising how far around the globe it's actually gone, this story, and how many versions of it can be found. But that's where the original story comes from. The Dullahan. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Right, I'll finish on this, and I'll be back when I'm putting the wax on it. So, back in a minute. Right, I'm just buffing off the wax, and when I stop it, you'll see the absolute array of colours that are in this wood. As I said, it's a pity that the branches of monkey puzzles are neglected, because they are stunning wood. They're absolutely gorgeous wood. Okay, right. Isn't that pretty? See the blacks in it? And the blacks will go darker, right? There's 2 or 3 different colours of gold in it. The knots are gorgeous looking, actually. Right? And there's almost cream colour there and there. I said it's a real pity that the people are only crazy about doing bowls out of this stuff, because the branches should not be neglected, because they are gorgeous things. Now all we got to do is sort out the base and part off, and then we can get to actually putting the lamp together. Right, so the base. Right, as you can see, that base is not exactly straight. So the first thing I'm going to do is straighten that base off with a parting tool. I'll make sure that this is tight for doing this. Too far in there, because I've still got work to do on this. And just for somebody who wants to know what I'm doing there, when I'm doing that cut, I have my finger, this finger, pulling the tool that way, and I'm pushing with this hand, and it gives you a nice smooth cut on the end. Now what I have to do is I have to hollow out that base slightly. Alright, now I have to move one of the cameras to show you this. So I'll do that and I'll be back in a sec. Now then, as I said, I have to hollow out this base slightly. It's to give the wire somewhere to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a parting tool, even about a centimetre or so. And I'm just going to nibble away until I get down in there, maybe half an inch. Now remember, I'm going directly into end grind here. So it's got to be slow. Should be enough. And now I'm going to take out the rest of that with the spindle gouge. Very carefully. You should have no problem here with the spindle gouge, because remember, you're basically doing the spindle turning. Take down as much of this as I can, so it's still supported. Now I'll get on the other end and cut it off, because you can see there's a slight wobble at the starting on that. Right, I'll part it off at this end and catch the lamp. There we go. Now all I gotta do is clean up in there, clean up the top of that, and we can get going putting this thing together. So I'll do that, we'll be back in a sec. Right then, here's the base all flattened off, looking nice. And there's the top. The top doesn't matter much, it's going to be covered in a ring. Now what I want to do is, do you remember that false pith I showed at the start? I want to drill straight down through it. Now it should go perfectly easy and straight, because there's basically not a lot there. It'd be handy if I tighten the drill chuck properly, wouldn't it? And it did, came smack out in it, which is perfect. Now I just got to drill in the little piece to let the wire come out. Right, now what I want to do is I want to pick where is pretty, where is really pretty, where's the prettiest part of this lamp. And I think it's probably there. So I'm going to go through to the back of it, which is there, and I want to drill a small hole coming from there at an angle down into that base. Now, very light pressure and high drill speed, because if not, if this catches, it's going to break that off. You want to make sure you're cutting all the way through like that, and then it doesn't break. Now what we're going to do is wire it up. Right, and there we have it. The end is nicely done. Top is nicely done. Well, you're not even going to see that because the brass is going to cover it. Right, and the hole is drilled through the middle. Now the kit I use, and I'm going to preempt this one because I always get asked it, is CE certified for use with wooden lamps. Now I'm using slightly longer screws in it this time because of the fact I'm going into monkey puzzle and I'm going into ingrain. So slightly longer screws are just safer. Right, now where was I? Oh yeah, right. Now the question I always get asked is, what about certifying a lamp? Right, it depends on where you live. Right, where I live, if you use a kit, that is certified for use with wooden lamps. And this is the important bit: you do not alter the kit. Right, putting longer screws in it. I've checked, this one isn't classed as altering a kit. You do not need to have the lamp certified unless you are producing it on an industrial scale, in which case you do. Right. For a one-off, what they call art lamp, you don't. And as I said, it depends on where you live. An awful lot of Europe has the same rules we do, right? But I would check locally what the story is with you being, you need lamp certification. Where did I put that little screwdriver? I took them a little screwdriver to put these in with, and I can't find where I put it. Screwdriver with a blue handle. Where did I put the thing? Oh, there it is. Right. Now, as I said, check locally. See what the law is locally, because it could be different from here. Right. Yeah. Wire it up. Yeah, look, I like using these kits because I like the look of them, to be honest with you. They are, as I said, certified for use with wooden lamps, which makes things a hell of a lot easier, and I don't have to put the price of a pat test onto each lamp. I get asked as well why I use the plastic tops rather than the metal ones, like a nice brass one. Because I can't find a kit that is certified for brass, and I forgot a piece. There you go, I forgot the cap. And as promised, if I do something wrong, I will leave it in the video. So one screw down. Off, put the cap on, the fancy cap on, covers all the screws. Now put that back on. Excuse me. And put this on. Okay, when I'm finished this, I'm going to go inside to the house. I'm going to have a very long drink of something cold, and I'm going to sit in front of a fan for half an hour, because it is boiling here. There she goes, screw it together. Now, if anybody's interested in these kits, I'll leave a link below to where I get them. Now, the one thing is, it's an English import, so you know the story with that. You're going to have to pay import duty and everything on it due to Brexit. Right, and that's the lamp together. Right, I'll give you a better look at it now. So I'll be back in a sec. Right then. And there we have a monkey puzzle branch lamp. As I said, it's a piece of wood that I think is neglected because everybody wants the trunk parts. Right, but as you can see with it, the colours in this are beautiful, and the figure in it, you won't get in any other tree. Right, all those, the blacks and stuff, and as I said, the blacks get blacker. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed that one. If you wouldn't mind, click on like on the video, be very helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.